returned. So hopefully that it would be over with before you had
Biding
the chance to
time
grab
for
it.
what? We can't leave.
But maybe everyone else would have passed it around. And that we would have forgotten about you.
You know, probably not as stupid as you think you look, he says, trying to insult you.
Reason number 2. Well, yes, your profession is a much needed one. What better place for a pyre to hide than amongst blood?
Yes, in broad daylight, butchering out in the streets with sunshine, he brags.
Then please prove me wrong, and I hand out the crucifix to him.
He swipes it out of your hands and waves it in front of your face and tosses it back at you. To which you are the only person to notice that he did have gloves on.
I appreciate that very much. But can you do it without the gloves?
What are the gloves gonna make a damn difference, he says.
Because it will be touching your bare skin this time around. There's not going to be any interference between the crucifix and your hand.
He pulls one of his gloves off and tucks it in his pocket.
I hand it back.
He holds his hand out underneath yours, expecting you to drop it in his hand.
Instead, I press it into his hand.
Roll a d20.
18.
Alright. Are you focused on staring him in the eyes or staring at his hand?
His hand, of course. I need to make sure I'm able to see where I'm putting it.
Alright, you place his crucifix in his hand, to which he immediately yanks his hand away. She says, "What'd you do that for?" As he holds his hand up, you notice you have cut him with his crucifix. You look back at the crucifix, to which there is a small little jagged piece coming off the front, as this is not in the best shape. He's trying to murder somebody, now you're trying to cut people up.
My apologies, I didn't notice that there was a piece in here. However, we do have a doctor. Would you hold out your hand so she can fix you?
She, the doctor looks up. "I may be an elf, sir, but I will not take that." The doctor gives you a
apologize
sneer look.
profusely to you. I
Comes
apologize
over,
profusely.
wraps the butcher's hands with a little bit of cloth gauze.
Did we notice anything about the hand?
No, it just looked like you would cut him, nothing special. Doctor confirms just a cut, looks like.
Do I
Butcher.
notice anybody giving him the eye for blood? Anyone acting strangely after that?
Doctor, the guard, and the adventurer, the last three you have not tested. And they happen to look over very nervously, like they were expecting something from the butcher himself. The butcher storms away from you and joins next to the smithy at the back.
I again state that I apologize for that, and I also ask the smithy if he can fix it so it doesn't happen again.
Smithy pulls out a small little pair of pliers he had pocketed and happens to bend this small little piece of jagged metal to form it back, so it's not jagged anymore.
I appreciate that very much. We're here to try and figure out what happened, not hurt anybody in the process.
Doctor says, "Look, we already know I've touched it." And the doctor joins over to the side, so it's just left to the guard and the adventurer. My money's on the adventurer.
My money is nowhere because this could have also happened outside of the inn.
The bartender chimes up, and it's not us trying to pin this on anybody. We're just testing on the safe side. The innkeeper
The last
agrees.
thing I want is one of us to go to sleep and not wake up.
The adventurer waltzes over and says, "Just give it to me."
I hand it over.
Wiggles it around in front of your face, very tauntingly like, and drops it back in your hand. The guard walks up to you and sternly looks you in the face and says, I appreciate our efforts, but as a guard, we have code, and the gloves stay on.
I can respect that as your code.
Everyone gives him a good look, obviously.
I raise my hand. There is one other thing we can do.
He raises an eyebrow.
I hope you can forgive me for this. I shove it in his face.
Roll a d20.
Got a 19. That's getting a lot better.
Alright, you shove it straight in his face. I will roll against. I roll a crit. He instinctively swats your hand away and says, that is downright assault, he says, and points a finger straight in your face.
That did
There's
not work out as well as I
good
thought.
imprintation of where you have mashed this into his forehead. This crucifix. But he swatted it out of your hands and it clambers to the side underneath the bar. It says, we may be in a situation here, but that is no reason to go around it assaulting people. First you come in here, you say you're a thief, you start nicking people's hands, causing an uproar as well as everybody else. Don't make this any worse on yourself.
You alright? That was uncalled for on my part? Do I notice anything about the mark on his head?
No, but it's like you punched him in the face with a ring. You've left a good mark in his head. He gives it a good rub as anybody would.
I want to point out one thing to you, though. That will bruise for a little bit, but because you will have a crucifix on your head, you are also marked as holy now.
I suppose you're right. He gives you a look as if to say, I didn't think of that. That's a thought. So who is of first watch? The guard says. Obviously I will stand. We will join for the first watch. The bartender raises a hand and says, I will join you, I must clean up anyways. To which everybody automatically starts filing upstairs. Dwarf is first. Yeah. Butcher joins. The innkeeper kind of stands down, waiting for everyone to retire to their rooms for the night. Doctor is the last person to leave other than you as he looks at the body once more and, tidies up his little station. So you all retire to your rooms for the night. Now, we have rooms with one bed each. Each person has their own room. Everyone has retired for the night. Everyone tries to sleep. You enter your room. Your room is simple. Small bed. Bedside cabinet. Storage chest. Small lamp. Nothing fancy.
Something cheap for a thief's budget.
You hear the expected noises of neighbors trying to get ready for bed and drunken stumblings and drunken rants to themselves. Do you try to sleep?
No, instead I want to know if I can go back downstairs. There's one other person I want to check with that crucifix if I can find it.
Do you wait any amount of time, or do you immediately come back down? Like, do you wait for everyone to try and go to sleep?
No, I immediately go. I don't want to raise suspicion on myself. If I wait till they fall asleep, they will immediately think I'm up to something.
Alright, you head right back down. The bartender and the guard give you a nod and say, can't sleep?
It's like, no, I just had a thought. Is that crucifix still here?
You see it still underneath the bar by one of the stools. The bartender says, I think it's over here, as he's wiping the bar down. Didn't want to touch it, I just wanted to Well, I guess leave things where they were. He seems very unnerved about everything.
That's appreciated. But you both are here as witness to the fact that I am moving it now. Is the body still over there in the corner?
The body's still sitting on the table where you guys have left it. The guard is just sitting at the bar with the bartender.
I want to check the crucifix on the body.
Alright, what do you do?
Does he have any gloves on or anything?
The,
The body?
the body has gloves, but his
I'd like
forearms
to...
are exposed as well as his face, but he is pretty, clothed.
Well, since his forearm is exposed, I would like to gently touch it up to the forearm, with the other two watching.
As soon as you do, a small amount of smoke starts coming up from the body.
I immediately remove it. I don't want to damage it.
Well, we already knew that, the guard poses. He's been bitten.
Yes, but if I remember something correctly, being undead means you have no pulse. We have also just now ruled out that he will not come back and kill us all.
Well, how do you rule that out? The bartender says, not getting your logic.
The corpse didn't move, did it?
No.
It didn't try to stop me with the holy artifact, did it?
Well, true, he says.
It would have stopped me because it would have felt that he was in danger. To also which, hopefully, one or both of you would have tried to stop it. But now we can all sleep safely, knowing that it is not going to come back on us.
They give you a good nod of agreement, and the bartender says, "Can I see you over here for a second, privately?"
I hand the crucifix to the guard and walk over with the bartender.
You walk out of the earshot of the garden. The bartender seems very distressed, and he says, I mean, I'm not one here. I'm a simple man and a bartender here. Look, this bar has been my life for as long as I've inherited it, but I was not rummaging around the body. How did this poison get on my hands? I do not know this. I do not remember you rummaging around as much as well. Do you think the Magus set us up?
I don't think that's the case. Because there are two things that are possible. I'm not saying that you did it, but that is one possibility that everyone else will see. But you are the bartender. You handled his glass. It could have gotten on the glass when you handed him his beverage.
So someone's trying to frame me then. I assume someone's trying to frame all of us.
That is a very strong possibility.
Bartender takes this in. You now roll a d20 to see what kind of vibe you get from him.
I got a 2.
Alright, you are very uncertain. He is nervous, as somewhat expected, but you are not sure if this is a characteristic trait or not. The bartender says, I really want you to forgive me, adventurer, but why do you bear ill will against the doctor?
What do you mean?
Well, we all saw it. He said he had proven himself and not touched the crucifix, yet he never had. Roll a d20.
12.
Alright. You do recollect this. The doctor did claim he touched it, but you have no recollection of him actually grabbing that crucifix. He just stares at you as wondering what your intentions are.
I have an idea come morrow.
What if tomorrow is too late? Bartender questions.
Well, we know that everyone else has indeed touched the crucifix in one form or another. One way or another, they have touched the crucifix, save the doctor. We know the corpse is not a vampire. Well, is a vampire, but will not be coming to attack us.
Well, we assume so, but how do we know that the effects of this touching this crucifix is not instantaneous. How do we know it will not burn overnight or some such? He
And
says
that
that.
is why we are keeping watch, isn't it?
Oh, the bartender gets your notion now.
Someone will always be available to let us know. At least 2 people. Now come morrow, when we open up the windows, pay attention to who stays near the light and who doesn't. If the doctor actually goes into the light at any point, we'll know that he... No. Yes. Checking my
Yes,
notes.
doctor is
Yes.
male.
I'm sorry. Out of character. That Miriam
Marion,
totally confused me. Marion.
the
Yeah, totally
magicist.
confused me. Totally confused me. Back in character. If the doctor goes into the light, then we have no need for concern. Further, if anyone is to be bitten by a pyre overnight, that leaves the doctor as the only suspect.
Bartender gives a nod of agreement and goes back to cleaning up the bar. The guard gives you a look as if to say, "Care to share that with me?"
I move over and gladly divulge that information.
The guard gives a good questioning, "Ah, I see," to you, and that's about all you get from the guard.
Before I go back upstairs, I just let the guard know. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. The more information we have, the better.
He makes a notion, you know, you're very intelligent for a thief. He gives you a half smile and goes back to his drink.
Just know your pocket is one I shall never pick.
Spoken like a thief, he says as he downs his drink.
But I do have honor.
And so you head back upstairs?
Yep.
Do you go to your room?
Indeed.
Roll perception.
9.
Your room is about halfway down the hallway and is arranged such your room is on your neighbors to your side are the magicist and in fact the doctor.
Excellent information.
The dwarf is across from you. The dwarf's neighbors are Akron, across from the doctor, and the butcher, across from the magicist. The bartender and the guard's rooms are actually the closest to the steps, and the innkeeper is at the end of the hall.
I gotta write this down. Hold on. I've got my room.
Your room, think of it, four rooms on each side of the hall and one at the end of the hall.
Fair enough. And right directly across from me is the dwarf.
Yes, across the hall.
To my right, if I were walking out the door, would be...
The doctors.
And then I've got the magicist.
On the opposite side, to your left.
And then at the beginning of the hall on the dwarf side...
The guard's room.
Who's also downstairs at the moment.
Mm-hmm. The butcher.
Butcher, alright. And at
Dwarf, and the adventurer is across from the doctor.
The adventurer is across from the doctor?
Yes.
Alright, I gotta redo this. First 2 rooms, I'm walking down the hallway. On the left-hand side is what?
As soon as you get to the top of the steps, the left-hand room is the guards. The right-hand room is the bartender.
Okay. I had things mixed up. Which means... next is the
Butcher on the left, the magicist on the right.
Okay. Which then puts the dwarf
Dwarf and you.
and me. And then the doctor is on the right, and then
Adventurer on the left, and the innkeeper's at the
adventure.
direct end of the hall.
Excellent. Okay. And those two are downstairs at the moment, the bartender and the guard. So I don't need to worry about that at the moment. Alrighty. On my way to the room, I want to try and stay silent for a moment and check if I hear anything.
Alright, roll a d20.
1.
1. You did not hear a dang thing. You didn't hear Bupkis.
My dice are beginning to not like me.
Make it to your door.
Alright. I guess I get ready for bed then.
You retire for the night and try to go to sleep?
Yes.
Alright. Roll a perception check.
4.
Alright.
You started off so strong. Why?
It's not very clear, but you are not getting much sleep, so you think you heard something in the middle of the night.
It's probably just nerves, but for the safety of everybody, I wanted to go and try and check it out.
Alright, what do you do?
I approach my door and listen hard, first and foremost.
Alright, roll another d20.
17.
Alright, you cannot hear anything in the hallway. You try your best to listen. You can hear a conversation down below.
I want to slowly open the door and start making my way downstairs as quietly as I can.
You make your way downstairs. You see the guard is on watch with the butcher. They're both sitting at the bar now.
Alright, guard and butcher. First and foremost, I want to try and eavesdrop.
Alright, it doesn't take much. You can listen to them. They're just chit-chatting about, common things in Homestead. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. You do notice the guard is getting a good bruise from where you've smacked him in the face with that crucifix. And the butcher's gauzed up hand is now soaked in a good amount of blood. They seem to be just talking about moderate things, nothing too particular it seems like.
I'd like to politely make myself known and walk up to them.
Alright, you come in, they greet you and ask if you would like a drink. Can you not sleep? What ails you?
Ale, that's what ails me. I'll have some water.
Butcher seems very mellow now. He does not seem as angry. I would imagine because he has sobered up. The guard manages to pour you a glass of water.
I put forth my sincerest apologies to the both of them for the accidents and conditions that I've given them.
Both sobering up a little bit. They do agree that tensions did run high and a bit of panic did set in. It's only natural for accidents to happen in such a situation of confinedness. Roll 2 d20s for me.
14 and 19.
Alright. As you gander about, you happen to notice the table of evidence or weapons everyone's been confiscated from.
Everything still seem in order?
Everything seems just about where you left it, except your knives are missing. Specifically your knives. And for the 19, you also look over and notice that the body is not doing so well. It seems to have slumped, like it is melting practically to the table. It is giving off a little bit more smoke. You can tell it is, like, if you feign your eyesight, you can tell that this thing still slightly smokes.
I ask them if they've noticed the body, first and foremost, and its condition.
They whirl around and give a surprised look. No, not at all, as they wander over to this body. You notice that this body literally looks like it is melting, like it has deflated to some extent, and is not letting off any vapors from the arm from where you press the crucifixion to, but just in general, the skin looks like it's emitting some small amount of steam or smoke or vapor, but it's hard to make out to the untrained eye.
I would like to ask the butcher to please get the doctor and magicist.
Yes, the butcher runs upstairs.
And I would like to ask the guard if he's noticed that my knives in particular have gone missing.
The guard looks over and once again surprised, he says, "No, I've been down here the whole time. Since the bartender retired, I've had the smithy, I've had the innkeeper, and the doctor had a shift, as well as now we're up to the butcher. I haven't noticed anything," he says.
Well, honestly, it could have been the dwarf since he seems to have a thing against me. However, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over it. They're simply knives.
He says, "Maybe he wanted his retribution," he says, looking over this body, still trying to make heads or tails of it.
That's a possibility. But I won't let it get to me. Like I said, the knives.
A female shriek is heard upstairs. The guard gives you one look and instantly races upstairs.
I'm wary to leave the body by itself, but I head up with him.
You head up behind the guard. You hear the hysterical shrieking of the innkeeper, and as you try to push past the guard, you notice the butcher lies dead in the hallway, like he has been slashed open. Blood splattered about. The innkeeper is standing outside her door.
This is not going well. Rouse everybody.
The adventurer, the doctor, and the magicist all peek out the scene in the hallway. The bartender and the dwarf have not made a noise. They have not come out yet. The guard knocks on the dwarf's door. No response. The guard orders him, "You better come out, Simon." And asks the innkeeper, "Do you have the keys?" The innkeeper quickly hurries back to a room and pulls out a large chain set of keys, to which the guard unlocks the door and barges in. There is no one in the room.
Has there been any sign of anybody sleeping there, or anything of that nature?
He says, "Give a lookout," as he runs back to the bartender's room. Pushing past you. He opens the bartender's room after knocking and shouting for him to come out. He opens the bartender's room. The bartender is asleep in bed. He says, "What are you doing? Get up!" "Huh? What?" Bartender sleepily gets out of bed. He says, "You didn't hear any of that?" He says, "Any of what?" He grabs the bartender by the arm and manhandles him to the hallway, to which he gasps at this horrid sight. The adventurer, back around down the hallway, says, "How can you sleep through that?"
Everyone calm down right now. First and foremost, we need to get downstairs. Being anywhere near this body is not going to be any good for any of us.
Everyone begins to shuffle out of their rooms and head downstairs. Guard helping everyone get past this dead body on the floor. To which the doctor and the guard carry the body downstairs and lay it right next to the other victim as well. So we now have a dead butcher on our hands as well. And a missing dwarf.
Things just keep getting thicker, don't they?
The doctor does his best to look over the butcher, and it is evident he has been slashed to pieces, like someone has taken a sword and ripped right through him from about the mid-torso upwards out of his shoulder. Doctor says it was only a matter of seconds and he was gone.
I motion the doctor and the magicist over to the other body. See if they can make out what's happening to it, too.
They're instantly intrigued as they look it over. The body seems even more deflated than usual. They cannot seem to make heads or tails. You know, they both make notes of, I've never seen such a thing. Such an odd phenomenon.
So they have nothing.
They're trying their best, but they have nothing. It does not seem any evident. You then hear a thud against the bathroom door. We're downstairs.
I motion the guard over to one side of the door, and I am on the other.
The guard eases over to the door, puts a key in the lock, unlocks the bathroom door, slides it open. None other than the dwarf himself falls flat on his face, like as if he were leaning up against the door.
I bring the doctor over. We need him.
The doctor examines him. He's out cold, but he does not appear to be harmed in any way, the doctor says. The guard gives a once-over in the bathroom. There's not appear to be any sign of struggle or anything out of the ordinary. The bartender is trying to comfort the innkeeper. She seems the most upset about this.
All right. Everything has gone straight to the Underdark. We've got a lot to tackle right now.
In fact, I think it's just you've got too much on your plate, the doctor remarks. I think you're just in a position over your head, and you're looking at it from the wrong way.
I'm more than willing to listen.
The bartender concludes, you may think you have a handle on things, but I think you've got it backwards. The innkeeper agrees. She says, we've been pointing fingers all night. But the dwarf has only said the only thing of truth, that if you point at someone, you're pointing at yourself. Even Akron gives you a look. They are all kind of eyeing you now, as if expecting something from you.
I take all of your opinions with me when I say this. I can't have done anything. Not to the butcher, and not to poor Simon here.
Where's your proof, Akron? Butts in.
First and foremost, I would like to show you that my main weapons, my knives, are missing off this table.
So how do we know you didn't steal it? He says. How do you know you didn't take your weapons back?
1. I was down here earlier when we all went to bed, talking with the guard and the bartender. They were still there.
The guard does
I
agree.
went back upstairs. I tried to sleep, and several shifts have passed. I've come back down just shortly after the bartender went upstairs. I was with the guard while the bartender went upstairs because I noticed that the body here was deflating.
To which the doctor gives a good look over at the